Welcome to Knicks and Six, everybody. I am Rebecca Haarlow alongside Bill Pidto. Today we're talking about the unsung heroes, which is great because I think there are a lot of them for the Knicks, Bill. I don't know. So I'll tip it off to you. What do you think? Who's your first unsung hero?
My number one unsung hero is Alec Burks. He has been so incredibly consistent, Rebecca, off the bench. I love the way he moves. There's never any wasted motion. He recently had a stretch of 5 straight games with at least 20 points. Alec Burks is clutch. When he's had to play point guard down the stretch, he's come through. He hits big shots night after night. Alec Burks might be my favorite Knick, but he's definitely my number one unsung hero.
I'm going to go a little outside the box, Bill. I'm going to say the Garden. I'm going to take you back to his story with Coach Tom Thibodeau. This was after the very first game. So his very first game as the head coach of the Knicks. And I bumped into him. Of course, we talked from 6 feet. And the thing that he told me was that he was just so happy to be home. That when he was in New York, that stretch between 1996 and 2004, he got the bug. He loves the Garden. He loves the atmosphere. He loves the game, and he thinks there's no better place to play it. So he said that every time after he left in 2004, that the job was open, he thought, is it time yet? And he told me that he just felt the time was right this time around. And I couldn't agree more that the time was right. And thank you to the Garden for bringing back one of the greatest coaches to the Knicks in the game.
Rebecca, my number 2 unsung hero, I love Nerlens Noel. He blocks 2 shots a game, plays about half the game, and he's 4th best in the whole league in terms of shot blocks per game. That's how effective he has been in playing about half the game. So he's been fantastic. Coach Tibbs always talks about rim protection. Noel has been great at that. And without Mitchell Robinson, during that last stretch when he was out for the 15 games with the hand problem after the hand surgery, Noel was the starter. He's the starter now. He averages 6 rebounds a game, which is another incredible stat given that he doesn't play that much all the time. Nerlens Noel, for me, number 2 unsung hero on the Knicks this year.
Oh yeah, I think he's fantastic because he's a player, to borrow from Coach, impacts winning. All right, well, when we're talking about unsung heroes, I think you have to pick Derrick Rose. You can look at the record since he's been in York. They're 9-6 when he's played, and they're 5-6 when he hasn't played. So that speaks to the winning and the impact on winning for Rose. But the bigger point, I think, when it comes to Rose is free agency this summer. He is the first high-profile player who's greatly respected around this league to say, I want to go to New York. That is where I want to play under the Thibodeau era. So the Knicks were winning some games without him before he arrived in February. But then if you weren't paying attention to the Knicks at that point, you really started paying attention to the Knicks because here comes Derrick Rose wanting to come play in New York. And I think in free agency this summer, that's going to make a big difference that there are high-profile players.
You know, it's interesting, Rebecca. Rose, of course, played for Tom Thibodeau with the Bulls. He played for Tom Thibodeau in Minnesota. So that brings us to my 3rd unsung Knicks hero. It all ties together, and that has to be Taj Gibson, who, like Rose, played for Tibbs in Chicago and Minnesota. Gibson, Mike Breen, I think, says it the best. Gibson is the Knicks and the coach's security blanket. Whenever he is called on, he comes through. When he doesn't play, he's a great mentor to everybody. He's a great presence in the locker room. He does the things that don't always show up in the box score. He sets a mean screen. He's fantastic in the half-court set because the screens free everybody else up. He has at times had some excellent rebound numbers. At times he's been able to put points up on the board. He has been invaluable. So that makes him, for me, Rebecca, my 3rd unsung Knick on this team this year.
I'm going to pick someone who's not actually on the roster for this one, but I'm going to go with Kadeem Randall. And what I wanted for the unsung pick in this one was somebody who's influenced Julius Randle. So it was in between Kadeem and Kenny Payne. But I'm going to go with Kadeem because I want to take you back to a story last year where Julius said he was watching his son, who is 3 at the time, put up shots on one of those little tight basketball hoops. And when he would miss shots, he said he was watching Kadeem, who is complaining to the officials about calls. And he said for him, It was one of those aha moments where he realized, okay, I need to do things differently. And from that point on, Randall's been super vocal about how he feels like he didn't show up in the right way last year, and over the summer did the work to be the guy who he is today. I mean, now he is the heart and soul of that team. He's a terrific leader. He's a terrific player. He's an all-star. He's all the things. And recently, there was another video that came out with Kadeem, which I love too, where Kadeem is putting up shots on his little tyke basketball court, chanting MVP. So I think that just goes to show the difference that a year can make. But I love that Julius Randle wanted to make some of those changes for his son. So thank you, Kadeem.
Indeed. You know, it's amazing, Rebecca. Sometimes as a father, when your daughter or son makes a suggestion, it hits close to home. Sometimes a lot closer than maybe your wife or another adult. It's really amazing the impact something a kid can have on a parent. And that's a great example of that. That's an awesome story.
Always great chatting with you. Another edition of Knicks and Six. Fun to do this with you, Pidto.